In December 2019, police officers in West Yorkshire entered a derelict former bank on Commercial Street, Batley. What they found would haunt even the most hardened investigators. Hidden behind a newly plastered wall, in a long-abandoned basement vault, was a body, wrapped in a sheet, bruised, beaten, broken. It was the body of Asghar Badshah, a 39-year-old father, husband and Bradford bus driver. He'd been missing for nearly a month. What began as a missing persons case would unravel into something far darker. A brutal conspiracy, an international drug trafficking empire, and a shocking betrayal from within his own family. On the night of November 29th, 2019, Asghar Badshah left his family home on Mayor Road, Bradford. He was calm, carrying no signs of distress. But something was off. He left his mobile phone behind. And not long after, surveillance software was installed on that phone by others. It wasn't just coincidence. It was a part of a plan. That night, Asghar was lured into a trap. He was presented with a binder of so-called evidence, accusations that he had stolen something big. He never returned home. The next morning, his family began to worry. His phone was off, his car untouched, no trace. By December 5th, his brother reported him missing. What they didn't know was that by then, Asghar was already dead. The story that unfolded was one of orchestration, not random violence, but carefully plotted vengeance. A group of men had been hired, flown up from Surrey to Bradford, specifically for this job. They called them the Surrey Contingent, Sabah Shamuradi, Liam Buckley, Alex Walker. Their task? Kidnap Asghar, extract information, use force if needed. They were paid tens of thousands in the weeks before and after the crime. Assisting them locally was Kaisar Shah, a relative of Asghar's. He helped in the abduction and later the cover-up. And watching from afar, coordinating, controlling, and funding it all, was the man believed to be the ringleader, Tahir Syed, Asghar's own nephew. This wasn't a crime of passion, it was about money. £600,000 of it. According to prosecutors, Asghar had been entrusted with safeguarding drug money from a major narcotics operation run by Tahir Syed. The money was allegedly stashed in a car in a garage. Then it disappeared. Nobody knows exactly what happened to it. Some say it was stolen. Others suggest it was seized. But for Syed, there was no doubt in his mind. Asghar had taken it. And in the world Syed operated in, as the head of a multi-million-pound drug empire, importing cocaine and heroin into the UK inside frozen meat consignments. That wasn't just a financial loss. It was an insult, a challenge, a threat to his authority. So he decided to respond, with force. On the night of November 30th, 2019, after reading through the evidence against him, Asghar was ambushed in his own home. He was forced into a Mercedes-Benz, driven by the kidnappers, and transported in a convoy to a derelict bank building in Batley, one that Syed's group had identified as a secure location. Inside that building, in a sealed vault, Asghar was held for the next 11 hours. What happened in that time is almost unspeakable. According to forensic experts and post-mortem reports, he suffered 11 blows to the head and neck, 48 additional injuries to his torso and limbs. He was beaten with weapons, subjected to what a judge later described as torture. The goal? Get him to reveal the location of the missing money. But the answers never came. At some point during that brutal interrogation, Asghar died. There was no ambulance called, no effort to revive him. Instead, Kaisar Shah helped to wrap his body in a sheet. Together, the group concealed him in a shelving unit deep in the basement. They then boarded up the vault entrance with plasterboard and left, confident no one would ever find him. In the days that followed, Shah even had the audacity to send messages of condolence to Asghar's family visit his grave, and pretend to mourn. One of the most disturbing elements of this case was the manipulation after the murder. Sabia Syed, another relative, lied to police and to Asgar's wife about his whereabouts. She claimed he was alive, that he was on the run. She hoped to buy time to find the missing money. Meanwhile, Alex Walker, one of the kidnappers, fled the country to Mexico. He remains a fugitive. And Tahir Syed? He vanished. After the killing, he flew to Amsterdam and later Turkey, where he continued to run his drug empire while evading justice. Police launched a lengthy investigation, aided by the National Crime Agency. Over time, the net began to close. In February 2022, the first wave of defendants was sentenced. Kaisar Shah, 18 years for manslaughter, 9 years 3 months for kidnap, 3 years 9 months for criminal property. Sabah Shahmaradi and Liam Buckley, 7 years and 2 months each for conspiracy to kidnap. Sabia Syed, 2-year suspended sentence for conspiracy to acquire criminal property. Wajid Hussain, sentenced in 2023 to 4 years and 2 months. But the most critical figure remained at large until 2021. In late 2021, Tahir Syed was arrested in Turkey. It took months of international cooperation, but eventually he was extradited back to the UK. His trial began in 2025 at Leeds Crown Court. It lasted 4 weeks. He was found guilty of murder conspiracy to kidnap, conspiracy to import and supply heroin and cocaine. The judge sentenced him to life in prison with a minimum of 34 years. The second story, we cover the police have raided a unit in a Bradford street this afternoon and found a cannabis farm inside. West Yorkshire police executed a warrant at a building in Mount Street today, where officers discovered a cannabis farm inside. A person was arrested, according to a spokesperson for the force. Police visited the scene today, and there was a strong smell in the air, with a police van parked outside a row of businesses and another further down the road. Officers were spotted inside the former premises of Gameflex, a business that had gaming rooms and shisha, but dissolved in 2022, according to Companies House. The officers were seemingly dismantling the farm somewhere in the unit as smashing noises could be heard. James Howell, 36 years old. By day, he was just another delivery driver, making rounds across the city. But behind the wheel, he was transporting far more than just packages. On Thursday, Howell was sentenced to 6 years at Bradford Crown Court after pleading guilty to supplying cocaine and cannabis. The value of the drugs? Over £3.5 million. Between February and July 2024, Howell helped move over 30 kilograms of drugs through Bradford, working with an organised crime network importing narcotics from the United States. Criminals had been using international postal services to smuggle the drugs into the UK. Once they landed, Howell picked up the parcels and made the deliveries. But Howell wasn't invisible. A joint investigation by the Yorkshire and Humber Regional Organised Crime Unit and US authorities, including Homeland Security and the DEA, uncovered his role. He was arrested in July 2024 after being identified through international intelligence sharing. By July 11th, he was already in front of magistrates, facing the consequences. Detective Inspector David Greenwood said Howell thought his delivery job would make the perfect cover. Instead, it became the very thing that got him caught. This is SN Studios. Real stories from real streets. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true local crime coverage straight out of Bradford.